Ladies and gentlemen of the press.
Jack, were you surprised that the governor is too powerful in New Jersey? Would you, if you became governor, support a constitutional amendment to strip powers in the governor's office?
I think we need to take a look at the powers the governor has during an emergency like the pandemic. I think if we learned anything from the pandemic is that the government may be too powerful. He ran by fiat for close to 2 years. And it's the legislature that represents the people. And the legislature is an equal branch of government. So during a state of emergency, does our governor have too much power? I'll put together a panel to analyze that and see what other states do.
Jack.
Daniel.
It's good to see you, Jack. You gave a thumbs up when asked if you would support a repeal of the driver's licenses for undocumented immigrants. During the 21 general debate, you said you wanted to keep that law in place. So which is it, and can you explain your position now?
Listen, if you watched Donald Trump's recent interview with NBC News, when he was asked about the millions of people that are here, some of which have been here for decades, what he said is, this is going to be very, very difficult. Which suggests, I don't want to get out ahead of the president, I'll support whatever he's going to do with his final mass deportation plan. But if there are people who are not going to be deported, we need to know who they are. And the way to do that is with a government-issued ID. So my opponents will tell you something different about my position. My position is if there are people who are not going to be deported, and we're going to wait and see what the president's plan is with regard to that, if there are people who are not going to be deported, they ought to have from a homeland security standpoint, they ought to have a government-issued ID, and that's not even my idea. That was an idea given to me by law enforcement.
Jack, when it comes to New Jersey transit, realistically, what do you think the governor and the legislature can do to really help improve New Jersey transit? North Jersey is one thing, Central and South Jersey is another thing. Realistically, what's the plan that you think you can get New Jerseyans behind?
I will exert enormous pressure on our 2 U.S. senators and all 12 of our House representatives to get on Amtrak, which is a federal program. New Jersey Transit does have its issues, but a great many of the issues are the fact that they run on federal rails owned by Amtrak. So let's get working together. I mean, our U.S. senators have been silent on this. They've also been silent on congestion pricing. And so Donald Trump, promises made, promises kept. He put a temporary halt on the wind farms, and he's now starting to negotiate an end to congestion pricing. But let me say this. If that congestion pricing goes through, I will be faced with no choice other than a retaliatory tactic. You come through the tunnels in the morning or over the bridge with a New York plate in New Jersey, we'll hit you with a fee, and we'll fund our New Jersey Transit program. Yes, right here, right here.
Thank you very much. Jack, you have called on the state legislature to begin proceedings against Governor Murphy, impeachment hearing proceedings, if in fact these claims are true, that he is housing a migrant in his house. The governor's office has reviewed that. They say it was misinterpreted, misunderstood. However, Tom Homan says he's looking into it. So do you think the governor should be impeached on that? And also, if he won't be impeached and the state legislature won't act on it, should he resign right now?
This is the second time in 1 month period that Democratic politicians are calling the wrong kind of attention to New Jersey. First, it was a U.S. senator who's going away to prison for 11 years for corruption. And now we have a governor who 48 hours ago said something that's in violation of federal law at a time when the president is trying to make the country safer. And I think every governor has an obligation to work with the president, not taunt a federal agency about coming to his house to look into him harboring an illegal. It was irresponsible, it's outrageous, and it's dangerous because of the state police that provide detail there. In light of what the governor said, I believe the legislature should begin impeachment proceedings. I don't buy this backpedaling now coming from a spokesperson. He said what he said out of his own mouth on the record. He said he and his wife were harboring someone who doesn't have U.S. citizenship in their house. That is in violation of federal law. If no one's above the law, then he should be, impeachment proceedings should commence.
Jack, I'm sorry.
Right here. Hey, Brent.
Hi, Jack. Were you surprised at the people who booed the January 6th comments that John made?
Am I surprised? Listen, there's people all over the place with regard to January 6th. But here's what I'm not going to do with this campaign. I got people that are lying about Jack Ciattarelli. I take it as a compliment. It says I'm the front runner. And all the internal and external polling says that. Fundraising says that. Name ID says that. That doesn't mean I'm taking anything for granted. Nobody works harder than I do up and down the state 8 days a week. And that's not just for me. It's to get Republicans elected. Okay, but what we're not going to do in any of these debates is let the lies continue. The truth hurts. Or the famous line from that movie, A Few Good Men, you can't handle the truth. I think Mr. Spady approved that tonight.
Last question.
Sir, right here.
What do you think about the Jan 6 pardon? It's no
also, what's your property tax?
I issued a statement on this. Okay? First of all, I'm not going to be lectured by anybody who had nothing to say when Joe Biden commuted the sentence of 30 people on death row. I'm not going to be lectured by them. Anybody who was wrongly accused and prosecuted on January 6th by an overzealous and politically motivated prosecutor should be pardoned. Anybody who exacted violence on anybody on that day, including police, I believe should not have been pardoned. That is what I said in my statements of 3 weeks ago.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Steve.